My name is Stephen, and today I want to talk about the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer is probably one of the most famous parts of Christian spirituality. It's something that's just embedded in our consciousness and even in our culture to some extent. Even people who aren't disciples know those words, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name," and on it goes. But I want to kind of focus on one thing that we don't normally recognize or talk about in that prayer, even though the prayer could have been framed as "My Father in heaven, hallowed be your name." It's not. It doesn't use my, I, me, mine. It uses our, us, and plural pronouns. It's our Father who is in heaven. We pray for our daily bread. We pray that God will forgive us, even as we have forgiven those who are indebted to us. It has this collective tone to it. See, all prayer functions partly to draw us out of ourselves, to draw us out of just what I would imagine I want for the world and into the will of God. What does God want for the world? But you notice how this prayer, not only does it, subvert my own individual desires on that level, but it does it even on the level of who I'm praying with. It doesn't imagine that I'm praying this by myself. When I recite these words, if they're lodged in memory as Jesus said them, I'm saying it as part of a great we. I'm saying it as part of an us that is the church. This prayer won't let me think of God's mission as something that's done just by me. It calls me to think about God's action primarily, but not only that, it calls me into partnership with the church, even in the act of praying this prayer. Even if I take this prayer into my closet and pray it by myself, I'm doing it as part of the church. Maybe an isolated part of the church, but I'm doing it as part of this larger body. I always go to God and pray, "Our Father." And I think about what not just my role in participating with God's mission is, but what my role is as part of a church and as part of God's gathered people who are in all the world, as we all, in a way, pray this together. I think there's an aspect of kind of a communion sort of thing in this prayer, where in the act of praying it, I'm joining with other believers in this act of faith. I want you to think as we spend some time praying this prayer, not only today or not tomorrow or this week, but as we make this part of our prayer life, to join in that attitude that sees me, not just as individual solitary instruments of God's will, but as part of God's grand global mission that's at work in a grand and global church.